Hi everybody, Sometime Oki here, and today we are going to be finishing up the Gospel of Luke, and we've got chapters 21 through 24 to go through. This is going to be the end part of that, where if you've followed along with me through any of the other Gospels so far, Matthew and Mark, they're about to celebrate the Passover, and then we have the betrayal and the crucifixion and the resurrection, and then into the ascension. There's a lot of things that happen in between there. Like I've said before, all these Gospels, they're all the same story, basically, just told differently. And some disciples were more emotional, and one of the Gospels, like Luke here, Luke was actually not a disciple at all. So this is what he found during his investigations and the people that he talked to. So it's not super long. I'm going to try to keep our video today under an hour. If you are new to the channel, thank you so much for being here. Welcome. This is Jesus content, God content. I'm reading out of the New Testament through the Gospels. And then after that, we're going to keep going and go into Acts and so on. So if you are a subscriber or someone that just keeps returning to my channel, hi, and thank you. I'm so glad you're here. I'm glad you keep coming back. Thank you. Thank you for all your comments. Thank you for your prayers and your prayer requests and everything, guys. Like, it's great. It's super great. And again, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. Let me know where you guys are from. My channel is free, always. And let's jump into Luke. So, chapter 21. And he looked up and saw the rich men casting their gifts into the treasury. And he saw also a certain poor widow casting in her 2 mites. And he said, "Of a truth I say unto you that this poor widow has cast in more than all of them. For all these of their abundance cast it into the offering of God. But she has of her penury hath cast in all the living that she has." And as some spake of the temple, how it was adorned with goodly stones and gifts, he said, "As for these things which ye behold, the days will come, in which there shall not be one stone left upon another. They all shall be thrown down, cast down." And they asked him, saying, "Master, but when shall these things be? And what sign will there be when these things come to pass?" Okay, so this whole next section into quite a bit of it. And this is also in the rest of the Gospels. Whenever you get to the last 4 or 5 or so chapters of the Gospels, this is where you have foreshadowing and explanations and things like that of what I'm going to call end times prophecy. I don't know if you guys are following any Watchmen out there or anything like that, but this explains part of it. This talks about it. This talks about things that will happen when those times are here or close, and all that good stuff. So sorry, I gotta cut this off here because I don't know if I can leave the window. But I'm not gonna go into like detail and explain everything. I'm gonna leave it up to you guys. However, here's an Easter egg for y'all. Okay. All right. And they asked him, saying, "Master, but when shall these things be? And what sign will there be when all these things come to pass? And he says, this is Jesus now. Take heed that you be not deceived, for many shall come in my name, saying that I am the Christ, and the time draws near. Go you not therefore after them. So there's going to be people that are going to come in my name and say that they are the Christ. Don't be deceived and don't go after them. Then he said to them, nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. And great earthquakes shall be in diverse places, and famines and pestilences. And fearful sights and great signs shall there be from heaven. But before all these, they lay their hands on you and persecute you, delivering you up to the synagogues and into prisons, being brought before kings and rulers for my name's sake. And it shall turn to you for a testimony. Settle it, therefore, in your hearts not to meditate before what you shall answer. For I will give you a mouth and wisdom, which all your adversaries shall not be able to gainsay nor resist. So, very similar to what he was doing with the Pharisees and the Sadducees and how he was answering them the things that he was saying. They weren't able to gainsay nor resist. Okay. And you shall be betrayed both by parents and brethren, and kinsfolk and friends, and some of you shall they cause to be put to death. Some of you are going to die for me, for Jesus. And you shall be hated of all men for my name's sake. But there shall not a hair of your head perish, and your patience possess you your souls. And when you shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is near. Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains, and let them which are in the midst of it depart out. And let not them that are in the countries enter thereinto. For these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. But woe unto them that are with child, and to them that are nursing in those days. For there shall be great distress in the land and wrath upon this people. And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive into all nations. And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the time of the Gentiles is fulfilled. And there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring. Men's hearts failing them for fear and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth. For the powers of heaven shall be shaken. And then shall they see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. And when these things begin to come to pass, then look up and lift your heads, for your redemption draws near. And he spoke to them a parable. Behold, the fig tree and all the trees. When they now shoot forth, you see and know of your own selves that summer is now near at hand. So likewise, when you see these things come to pass, know that the kingdom of God is near at hand. Verily I say unto you, this generation shall not pass away till all be fulfilled. Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my words will not pass away. And take heed to yourselves, lest at any time your hearts be overcharged with suffering and drunkenness and cares of this life, and so that day come upon you unaware. For as a snare it shall come on them that dwell on the face of the whole earth. Watch ye therefore, and pray always, that you may be accounted worthy to escape all these things that shall come to pass, and to stand before the Son of Man. Well, that was a lot. And in the daytime he was teaching in the temple, and at night he went out and abode in the mount that is called the Mount of Olives. And all the people came early in the morning to him, and in the temple for to hear him. And that is the end of chapter 21. That one was pretty fast. So a lot has happened. Well, he has said a lot anyway. So like I was saying, chapter 21, Luke chapter 21 here. And he starts at, well, it's basically the whole chapter. After verse 7, whenever the disciples ask what the sign is going to be and when these things are going to happen, verse 8, it picks up. And that's where the rest of it's almost all red print, where he explains end times and what's going to happen and what to look for and all these other signs and things like that. And then he gives them a parable, and the parable is important because we even read in there that the end of days, the end of this generation will be this in the same as Noah. So people are going to be taken, as it says, unaware. It will be like a snare. It's going to catch people off guard. They're going to be going to work, doing their daily routine, taking care of their kids, whatever it is, getting married, having kids, like everything that people experience on a daily basis and the things that people do, whatever it is, that's what they're going to be doing whenever these things happen, when the tribulation starts, whenever the return of Christ is. And so that's kind of what he's getting at. People aren't going, and they don't understand now either. So that was chapter 21. Now, chapter 22, I believe we're going to get into the Passover. And I believe that we're also going to get into the betrayal and Judas being a whole sellout to the chief priests and all them that have been after Jesus and trying to lay hands on him and all that other stuff. So, yeah, Judas agrees to betray Jesus. Now, the Feast of Unleavened Bread drew near, which is called the Passover. And the chief priests and scribes sought how they might kill him, Jesus, for they feared the people. So, as much as they wanted to kill him, they couldn't, because the people saw him as the Son of God. They saw him as the Son of David. They saw him as a prophet, similar to John the Baptist. Then entered Satan into Judas, surnamed Iscariot, being of the number of the 12, of one of the 12 disciples. And he went his way and communed with the chief priests and captains how he might betray him unto them. And they were glad, they were excited. Finally, we are going to get what we want. And they covenanted to give him money for it, for his betrayal. And he promised and sought opportunity to betray him unto them in the absence of the multitude. So not only is he going to betray Jesus for money, he's going to do it away from people so that the chief priests and them don't have to worry about, the whole crowd being crazy. Then came the day of unleavened bread, when the Passover must be finished. And he sent Peter and John, saying, Go and prepare us the Passover, that we may eat. And they said unto him, Where wilt thou that we prepare? Where are we going to go prepare this meal at, Jesus? And he says to them, Behold, when you are entered into the city, there shall a man meet you, bearing a pitcher of water. Follow him into the house where he enters in. And you shall say unto the good man of the house, The master says unto thee, Where is the guest chamber, where I shall eat the Passover with my disciples? And he shall show you a large upper room furnished. There make ready. And they went and found as he had said unto them, and they made ready the Passover. And when the hour was come, he sat down, and the 12 apostles with him. And he says to them, With desire, I have desired to eat this Passover with you before I suffer. He wants to complete the Passover with his disciples before Judas comes back and they take Jesus away. And then he goes through the whole craziness. For I say unto you, I will not eat any more thereof until it be fulfilled in the kingdom of God. And he took the cup and gave thanks and said, Take this and divide it amongst yourselves. For I say unto you, I will not drink of the fruit of the vine until the kingdom of God shall come. Now, here's the important part, and this has been misconstrued into craziness, and so I'm just going to explain a little bit afterwards. So, and he took bread and gave thanks and broke it and gave unto them, saying, This is my body, which is given for you. This do in remembrance of me. Well, there's significance not only to the bread, but also to the body. This isn't some weird ritual thing. Jesus sacrificed his body. He was crucified. A word that wasn't even said out loud in that day. It was like Voldemort and Harry Potter, like he who shall not be named, like action that shall not be said aloud. It's crazy. The absolute torture that he had to go through before he died. Okay. Now we continue on. Likewise also the cup after supper, saying, This cup is the New Testament in my blood, which is shed for you. Okay, again, this is not some weird ritualistic thing, whatever. I've even heard witchcraft. Like, it's crazy. So you are saved by the blood of Christ. He shed his blood and died for all of us. That is the covenant. It's a blood covenant between God and us. It was foreshadowed back in Genesis with Abraham. And so that's God's covenant with us. He sacrificed his own kid for the salvation of man and turned into the New Testament, into a new covenant, which meant the old ways were no longer valid. We're not doing the Levitical laws. We're not doing sacrifices, none of that anymore. So that is what it means and what the importance is and the significance of the bread and the wine, the body and the blood. He gave his body and he gave his blood in a covenant for us, for our salvation, to save us all. So that's what that stands for. It's not some craziness. It's real and it's beautiful and the most important. So verse 21. But behold, the hand of him that betrays me is with me on the table. The hand of him that betrays me is here. He's here eating with me. And truly the Son of Man goes as it was determined, but woe unto that man by whom he is betrayed. Woe unto Judas. And they began to inquire among themselves which of them it was that should do this thing. Which one of us is going to betray Jesus? And there was also a strife among them, which of them should be accounted the greatest. Human nature right there, a little egotistical. Which one of us is the best disciple? Who's your favorite, Jesus? And he said unto them, the King of the Gentiles exercised lordship over them, and they that exercise authority upon them are called benefactors. But you shall not be so. But he that is greatest among you, let him be as the younger, and he that is chief as he that doth serve. For whether is greater, he that sits at meat or he that serves? He that sits and eats the food or him that serves the food? Is not he that sitteth at meat? But I am among you as he that serves. You are they which have continued with me in my temptations. And I appoint unto you a kingdom as my Father has appointed unto me, that you may eat and drink at my table in my kingdom, and sit on thrones judging the 12 tribes of Israel. And the Lord said, Simon, Simon, behold, Satan has desired to have you, and he may sift you as wheat. He's a good boy. Yes, you are. You're a good boy. So, I just kind of want to stop for a minute because Simon was renamed Peter by Jesus. And so for him to not call him Peter and to go back to referring to him as Simon is kind of like a what? So, Simon, behold, Satan has desired to have you, that he may sift you as wheat. But I have prayed for thee, and thy faith fails not. And when you are converted, strengthen thy brethren. And he said unto him, Lord, I am ready to go with you, but into prison and into death. That's crazy. Okay, Jesus, that's not going to happen. I will go to prison with you. I will die for you. I will die with you. Like, I am in this till the end, 100%. And he said, but I tell you, Peter, the rooster shall not crow this day before you shall thrice deny that you know me. So you're going to deny me 3 times. And he said unto them, when I sent you without purse and scrip and shoes, lacked you anything? And they said nothing. Then he said unto them, but now he that hath purse, let him take it, and likewise his scrip. And he that hath no sword, let him sell his garment and buy one. For I say unto you that this that is written must yet be accomplished in me. And he was reckoned among the transgressors, for the things concerning me have an end. And they said, Lord, behold, here are 2 swords. And he said unto them, it is enough. And he came out and went as he wont to the Mount of Olives, and his disciples also followed him. And when he was at the place, he said unto them, pray that you enter not into temptation. And he was withdrawn from them about a stone's cast, and kneeled down and prayed. So he takes them to this place, and he tells them, okay, so hey, stay here. I need you to stay up and pray. And he goes a stone's throw, so not too far, like, I don't know, maybe 10 feet away or so. And he drops to his knees and he starts praying. I'm going to tell you what right now. And this next little bit I'm about to read, if this doesn't show the humanness of Jesus, I don't know what will. I don't know. It gets real. So, and he was withdrawn from them about a stone's cast and kneeled down and prayed, saying, Father, if thou be willing, remove this cup from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but thine be done. Father, remove this cup from me. That man was afraid. He was stressed out. Father, please, I don't want to do this. If I don't have to do this, I don't want to do this, but it's not my will, it's your will be done. But if you can remove this cup from me, oh my gosh, it's crazy. Okay. And there appeared an angel unto him from heaven, strengthening him. And being in agony, he prayed more earnestly, and his sweat was as if it were great drops of blood falling down onto the ground. This man sweat blood. That's a real thing, by the way. I don't know if you knew that or not, but that's a whole real thing. This man sweat blood. That's how stressed he was. Easter egg, look that one up. And when he rose up from prayer and was come to his disciples, he found them sleeping for sorrow. And he said unto them, Why do you sleep? Rise and pray, lest you enter into temptation. And while he yet spoke, behold, a multitude. And he that was called Judas, one of the 12, went before them and drew near unto Jesus to kiss him. But Jesus said unto him, Judas, betrayest thou the Son of Man with a kiss? When they which were about him saw what would follow, they said unto him, Lord, shall we smite with the sword? So the disciples knew what were going to happen. And they're like, they come to take Jesus, by the way, that's like a multitude and they've got weapons, which also doesn't make any sense. But they're like, shall we smite with the sword? Do you want us to cut him for you? Because we will. We will, Jesus. And one of them smote the servant of the high priest and cut off his right ear. So one of these was like gung-ho and he got real excited and in a hurry and quickly cut off one of the guard's ears. And Jesus answered and said, Suffer ye thus far. And he touched his ear and healed him. So you can't be doing that. This guard got Picasso'd and Jesus put his ear back together. And then Jesus said unto the chief priests and captains of the temple and the elders which had come to him, Be you come out as against a thief with swords and staves. So they've got a multitude there of people with weapons. When I was daily with you in the temple, you stretched forth no hands against me. But this is your hour and the power of darkness. And they took him. And they led him and brought him into the high priest's house, and Peter followed from afar off. And when they had kindled a fire in the midst of the hall, and were set down together, Peter sat down among them. But a certain maid beheld him as he sat by the fire, and earnestly looked upon him, and said, This man was also with him. He's one of Jesus's crew. And he denied him, saying, Woman, I know not. I don't know what you're talking about. Jesus, who? Who? And after a little while, another saw him and said, Thou art also of them. And Peter said, I am not. I am not one of his followers. I didn't follow Jesus. And about the space of 1 hour after another, confidently affirmed, saying, Of a truth, this fellow also was with him, for he is a Galilean. So this man, Peter, gets spotted 3 times. And on the 3rd time, they're like, no, I know you're a Galilean. You are from there and you are a follower of Jesus. Like, I know. I've been watching you. I've seen you. And Peter said, I know not what thou sayest. And immediately while he spoke, the rooster crowed. And the Lord turned and looked upon Peter, because Peter followed him. So he's in that same area as him. And Jesus looks over at Peter. And Peter remembered the word of the Lord, how he had said unto him, before the rooster crows, you shall deny me 3 times. And Peter went out and wept bitterly. Well, Peter was all about it. And he was the one that, I'll do it all. I'll die for you. I'll go to jail for you. I'll go to jail with you. All those things. Cut the ear off a guard. And he just denied Jesus 3 times. He wept bitterly. That man didn't just have a few tears. That man full chest cried. Full chest cried. So ashamed of himself and filled with guilt. And the men that held Jesus mocked him and smote him. And when they had blindfolded him, they struck him on the face and asked him, saying, Prophecy, who is it that smote thee? So they've got him blindfolded and they're hitting him on the head and they're saying, hey, prophecy, you're the prophet, right? So tell us who just hit you, prophet. Let me know. And many other things blasphemy spake they against him. And as soon as it was day, the elders of the people and the chief priests and scribes came together and led him into their council, saying, Are you the Christ? Tell us. And he said unto them, If I tell you, you will not believe. And if I also ask you, you will not answer me, nor let me go. Hereafter shall the Son of Man sit on the right hand of the power of God. Then said they all, Are you the Son of God? And he said unto them, You say that I am. And they said, What need we any further witness? For we ourselves have heard of his own mouth. And that's the end of chapter 22. So, they just found him guilty. He's a blasphemer. And how dare he heal people on Sunday, or on the Sabbath. How dare you heal people on the Sabbath? That's crazy. Pilate even references later that it was all due to jealousy. The Pharisees and the Sadducees and all them they were jealous. They were envious. And it's really bittersweet because Jesus, even at the top of the hill looking down onto Jerusalem, talks about wanting to gather his people like a mother hen. He just wanted them to understand and know. And he gave them so many stories and parables, and there were so many things that were actually given to them in the Old Testament and also in the Torah about this coming. But they didn't like the Messiah that they were given. They kind of thought he was going to be some, big bad buff king, gonna rule with the sword, rage and war, all those other things. And he wasn't any of that. He wasn't what they expected, and he wasn't what they wanted. He was just a carpenter from Nazareth. And that wasn't cool with them. So it's not cool with them now either. They don't like it. They're still waiting for their Messiah, their Messiah. So they already got him. He was here. So we have 2 more chapters left. Chapter 23 is pretty short. Chapter 24 is not too bad either, but like I said, this is the end. And here we go. So, and the whole multitude of them arose and led him unto Pilate. And they began to accuse him, saying, We found this fellow perverting the nation and forbidding to give tribute to Caesar, saying that he himself is Christ, a king. So keep in mind, the Pharisees, the Sadducees, and them, they also serve Caesar. It's all corrupt with money through there. And Pilate asked him, saying, Art thou the king of the Jews? And he answered him and said, They say that I am. Thou sayest it. And said Pilate to the chief priests and to the people, I find no fault in this man. And they were the more fierce, saying, He stirs up the people, teaching throughout all Jewry, beginning from Galilee to this place. And when Pilate heard of Galilee, he asked whether the man were a Galilean. And soon as they knew that he belonged unto Herod's jurisdiction, he sent him to Herod, who himself also was at Jerusalem at the time. And when Herod saw Jesus, he was exceedingly glad, for he was desirous to see him of a long season, because he had heard many things of him. And he hoped to have seen some miracle done by him. He wanted to see the works of Jesus. He's been hearing about it. Then he questioned with him in many words, but he answered him nothing. So Jesus doesn't say anything during his whole questioning from Herod. And the chief priests and the scribes stood and vehemently accused him. And Herod, with his men of war, set him at naught, and mocked him, and arrayed him in a gorgeous robe, and sent him again to Pilate. And this same day Pilate and Herod were made friends together, for before they were at enmity between themselves. And Pilate, when he had called together the chief priests and the rulers and the people, said unto them, Ye have brought this man unto me as one that perverteth the people, and behold, I, having examined him before you, have found no fault in this man, touching those things whereof you accuse him. He's innocent, guys. No, nor yet Herod. So Herod didn't either. For I sent you to him, and lo, nothing worthy of death is done unto him. Why are y'all trying to kill him? He's not worthy of dying. He's an innocent man. Not only did I not find fault in him, but I sent him to the person he was supposed to be under jurisdiction with in the first place, Herod over there, and he didn't find any fault in him either. In fact, he was excited to see him because he wanted to see a miracle. He had heard of all these works and all these things that he had done. And then whenever he goes to question him, the man doesn't say anything. It's crazy. Why are y'all trying to kill him? I will therefore chastise him and release him. For of necessity he must release one unto them at the feast. And they cried out all at once, saying, Away with this man, and release unto us Barabbas, who for a certain sedition made in the city, and for murder was cast into prison. We'd rather have a murderer on the street than Jesus. How dare he pervert people? How dare he perform miracles on the Sabbath? It's crazy. Give us the murderer. Pilate, therefore, willing to release Jesus, spoke again to them. But they cried, saying, Crucify him. They're out here yelling it, Crucify him, crucify him. And he said unto them the third time, Why? What evil has he done? I have found no cause of death in him. I will therefore chastise him and let him go. And they were instant with loud voices requiring that he might be crucified. And the voices of them and of the chief priest prevailed. The people wanted it too much. And Pilate gave sentence that it should be as they required. Now Jesus is going to be crucified. And he released unto them him that for sedition and murder was cast into prison, whom they had desired, but he delivered Jesus to their will. And as they led him away, they laid hold upon one Simon, a Cyrenian, coming out of the country, and on him they laid the cross that he might bear it after Jesus. And there followed him a great company of people and of women, which also bewailed and lamented him. But Jesus, turning unto them, said, Daughters of Jerusalem, weep not for me, but weep for yourselves and for your children. For behold, the days are coming in which they shall say, Blessed are the barren, and the wombs that never bear, and the breasts that never feed. Then shall they begin to say to the mountains, Fall on us, and to the hills, Cover us. For if they do these things in a green tree, what shall be done in the dry? And there were also 2 other malefactors led with him to be put to death. And when they were come to the place which is called Calvary, there they crucified him and the malefactors, one on the right hand and the other on the left. And then Jesus said, Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they do. And they parted his raiment and cast lots. And the people stood beholding, and the rulers also with them derided him, saying, He saved others, let him save himself, if he is the Christ, the chosen one of God. So while Jesus is on the cross, the people and the rulers, they're all standing underneath him, and they're like, or around him anyway, or talking about him. And they're like, well, so if he really is the Son of God, and he really is the Christ, then he should be able to get himself down off that cross. Go ahead. So come down off the cross. Get yourself off the cross, Jesus. Okay? Son of God. Son of God. Awful. So, and the soldiers also mocked him, coming to him and offering him vinegar, and saying, If thou be the King of the Jews, save yourself. And the superscription also was written over him in letters of Greek and Latin and Hebrew, reading, This is the King of the Jews. And one of the malefactors which were hanged railed on him, saying, If thou be the Christ, save yourself and us. But the other answering rebuked him, saying, Dost not thou fear God, seeing thou art in the same condemnation? And we indeed justly, for we receive the due reward of our deeds, but this man has done nothing amiss. He tells the other guy on the cross, who's like, Jesus, okay, save all of us then if you're the Christ. And the man on the other cross is like, no, listen, our crimes deserve this punishment. That man is innocent and he shouldn't even be up here. And he said unto Jesus, Lord, remember me when thou comest into thy kingdom. And Jesus said unto him, Verily I say unto thee, today shalt thou be with me in paradise. He believed. And it was about the 6th hour, and there was a darkness over all the earth until the 9th hour. And the sun was darkened, and the veil of the temple was rent in the midst, torn. And when Jesus had cried with a loud voice, he said, Father, into thy hands I commend my spirit. And having said this, he gave up the ghost. He died. Now, when the centurion saw that was done, he glorified God, saying, Certainly this was a righteous man. And all the people that came together to that sight, beholding the things which were done, smote their breasts and returned. And all his acquaintance and the women that followed him from Galilee stood afar off, beholding these things. And behold, there was a man named Joseph, a counselor, and he was a good man and a just man. The same had not consented to the counsel and deed of them. He was of Arimathea, a city of the Jews, who also himself waited for the kingdom of God. This man went unto Pilate and begged for the body of Jesus. And he took it down and wrapped it in linen and set it in a sepulchre that was hewn in stone, wherein never a man before was laid. This grave has never been used before. And that day was a preparation, and the Sabbath drew on. And the women also, which came with him from Galilee, followed after and beheld the sepulchre and how his body was laid. They wanted to make sure that man was taken care of. And they returned and prepared spices and ointments and rested the Sabbath day according to the commandment. It's the end of chapter 23. Just kind of a reminder. Again, Luke was not a disciple. So whenever we read this, whenever we hear this, we see a lot of things that are super similar to the other gospels that we've read in Matthew and Mark. It's not quite as emotional. This was an investigation. This wasn't someone who passionately followed this man that knew everything that was going on. This man was writing a letter to someone else, to Theophilus, because he had heard of him also, and he was wanting to know about Jesus. What is true? What is not? Is he really the Son of God? Like, what happened? And so Luke played investigator and sought it out, and he asked people questions, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And these are his findings. So take into account, whenever Luke was doing this, and he was doing this investigation, just like a lot of other people, like all of them that are in here, all of them that wrote these stories, they did not know at the time, just like Luke didn't know when he was writing this letter, that it was going to be put into a Bible. That wasn't his intention. He didn't know that. At no point in time did these people get together and we're like, hey, we're going to put this all into one book and we're going to call it the Bible and you have to believe it. And if you don't, then you're going to hell. Like, no, none of that. So just to kind of be transparent and for you guys to kind of understand a little bit and the reality of this. And, all these people were just like us, me, you, everybody. They were very human. They had very human thoughts and reactions. Like, they weren't holier than thou. A lot of them weren't even really good believers. They doubted him up until the resurrection, right before the ascension. Like, I've got to put my finger in the holes of his hands and in his side. You know what I'm saying? Like, seriously, they were all human. So, chapter 24. This is the last chapter of Luke. It's like a page and a half, so it's not too bad at all. And I think we're going to be able to keep it close to an hour. At the end of this, there's a couple things I want to let you guys know because whenever I go into the Gospel of John, the book of John, things are going to start being a little different with that and on my channel. So I'm going to explain that and kind of let you guys know what's going on there. However, let's go into Luke chapter 24, final chapter. Now, upon the first day of the week, very early in the morning, they came into the sepulchre, bringing the spices which they had prepared, and certain others with them. And they found the stone rolled away from the sepulchre. And they entered in and found not the body of the Lord Jesus. So they get up to where he's laid, where he's buried at. And the stone that had covered the hole has been removed. And so you can only imagine the panic. Like, did someone steal his body? What happened? And it came to pass, as they were much perplexed thereabout, behold, two men stood by them in shining garments. And as they were afraid and bowed down their faces to the earth, they said unto them, why seek you the living among the dead? He's not here. He is risen. Remember how he spoke unto you when he was yet in Galilee, saying, The Son of Man must be delivered into the hands of sinful men and be crucified, and the third day rise again. So also, back previously, Jesus tells them that this is going to happen and that he's going to meet them in Galilee. So, and they remembered his words and returned from the sepulchre and told these things unto the 11 and to all the rest. So they run back and they go tell the rest of the 11 disciples, because Judas is now gone. And then they tell everybody else, hey, you won't believe it, but this is what happened. This is what we saw, these two men. And it was Mary Magdalene and Joanna and Mary the mother of James and other women that were with him, which told these things unto the apostles. And their words seemed to them as idle tales, and they believed them not. So none of these people are believing these women who literally just went up there to go do their thing. The stone is rolled away. These two angels, by the way, are like, listen, he's not here, ladies. Remember what he said? Hello? Go. Then arose Peter and ran unto the sepulchre, and stooping down, he beheld the linen clothes laid by themselves, and departed, wondering in himself at that which was come to pass. So Peter runs up there, and he goes to the sepulchre, and he sees not only is the stone gone, but here's his linen clothes, and he ain't in them. And behold, two of them went that same way to a village called Emmaus, which was from Jerusalem about 80 furlongs. And they talked together of all these things which had happened. And it came to pass that while they were communed together in reason, Jesus himself drew near and went with them. So they're communing together, they're walking out together, and Jesus is walking with them, and they don't even realize he's there. Their eyes were holden that they should not know him. And he said unto them, what manner of communications are these that you have one to another, as you walk and are sad? They miss Jesus. And the one of them, whose name was Cleopas, answering said unto them, art thou only a stranger in Jerusalem, and hast not knowing the things which are come to pass there in these days? And he said unto them, Jesus, what things? And they said to Jesus concerning Jesus of Nazareth, which was a prophet, mighty in deed and word before God and all the people, and how the chief priests and our rulers delivered him to be condemned to death and had crucified him. But we trusted that it had been he which should have redeemed Israel. And beside all this, today is the third day since these things were done. Yea, and certain women also of our company made us astonished, which were early at the sepulchre. And when they found not his body, they came saying that they had also seen a vision of angels, which said he was alive. And certain of them which were with us went to the sepulchre and found it even so as the women had said, but him they saw not. So even a couple of our guys went up there to go look, and they didn't see him either. Then he said unto them, Jesus, O fools and slow of heart to believe all that the prophets have spoken. Ought not Christ to have suffered these things and to enter into his glory? Did he not suffer these things to enter into his glory? And beginning at Moses and all the prophets, he expounded unto them in all the scriptures the things concerning himself. And they drew near unto the village whither they went, and he made as though he would have gone further. But they constrained him, saying, abide with us, for it is toward evening, and the day is far spent. And he went in to tarry with them. So they asked this guy, who they don't realize is Jesus, to come stay with them, and he does. And it came to pass as he sat at meat with them, and he took bread and blessed it and brake it and gave it to them. And their eyes were opened. That's when they realized it was him. And they knew him, and he vanished out of their sight. So once they knew him, he broke the bread and they realized it was him. He just poof, disappears. And they said one to another, did not our heart burn with us while he talked with us by the way, and while he opened to us in scripture? And they rose up the same hour and returned to Jerusalem, and found the 11 gathered together, and them that were with them, saying, The Lord is risen indeed, and has appeared to Simon. And they told what things were done in the way, and how he was known of them in breaking bread. And as they thus spoke, Jesus himself stood in the midst of them, and said unto them, Peace be with you. But they were terrified and affrighted, and supposed that they had seen a spirit, a ghost. And he said unto them, Why are you troubled? And why do your thoughts arise in your hearts? Behold my hands and my feet, that it is I myself. Handle me and see. For a spirit has not flesh and bones, as you see me have. Ghosts don't have skin and bones. This is me. And when they had thus spoken, he showed them his hands and his feet. And while they yet believed not for joy and wondered, he said unto them, Have you here any meat? Now, you got any food here? And they gave him a piece of broiled fish and of honeycomb. And he took it and did eat before them. And he said unto them, These are the words which I spake unto you while I was yet with you, that all things must be fulfilled, which were written in the law of Moses, and in the prophets, and in the Psalms concerning me. Then opened he their understanding, that they might understand the scriptures. And said unto them, Thus it is written, and thus it is behoved Christ to suffer and to rise from the dead on the third day. And that repentance and remission of sins should be preached in his name among all nations, beginning at Jerusalem. And you are witnesses of these things. And behold, I send the promise of my Father upon you. But tarry you in the city of Jerusalem until you be endured with the power from on high. And he led them out as far as to Bethany, and he lifted up his hands and blessed them. And it came to pass, while he blessed them, he was parted from them and carried up into heaven. He ascended into heaven after he blessed them. And they worshipped him and returned to Jerusalem with great joy, and were continually in the temple, praising and blessing God. Amen. And that is the end of Luke. Thank you for being here. Thanks for staying with me and tagging along through the Gospel of Luke. It's been great. It's been really fun. We've only got one more book to go through. John is long. John is long. John is super emotional. He's super detailed. He was definitely one of the disciples. This is his account as to what happened. And, as always, I'll read the beginning. However, John is going to be a little different than the lives I've been doing. I'm going to be doing more uploads, premieres, and things like that. I'm cleaning up my channel a little bit, trying to make it look better. Definitely have a better background and things like that. Everything else will stay the same. It's still just me up here. Free content. I'm just reading to you guys, trying to explain some things. All your questions, comments, prayers, prayer requests, all those things are more than welcome. Please leave a like. Please leave a comment, even if it's just to let me know where you are in the world. And again, thanks for being here. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Check out my channel, my shorts. I got a lot of lives. You can go through the playlist. If you feel like it's for you, definitely hit that subscribe button. And, well, I guess until next time, guys. See you then.